What do albino dogs look like? Although it's impossible to know if a dog is a true albino without genetic testing, most albino dogs will actually have blue eyes and pink noses. Dogs with white coats and dark eyes or noses can sometimes be mistaken for albinos, but unless they have pink noses and pink skin around their eyes, they are not albinos. How rare is an albino dog? How common is albinism? True albino dogs without any pigment are extremely rare. Dogs with some degree of albinism are much more common, especially for the breeds listed above. Do albino dogs exist? Albinism in dogs, or any species, is not breed-specific, but is a rare genetic mutation known as tyrosinase, full albino, or tyrosinase positive, partial albino. A white-coated dog carries the genetic makeup of white pigmentation, or may be a partial albino, whereas a true albino dog has no pigmentation. What does a real albino look like? Skin. The most recognizable form of albinism results in white hair and very fair skin compared to siblings. Skin coloration, pigmentation, and hair color can range from white to brown, and can be nearly the same as parents or siblings without albinism. Do albino dogs have green eyes? The eyes of albino dogs tend to be light blue, gray or green, all in very pale tones. They sometimes have light brown eyes. However, not all light-eyed dogs are albino. Pink eyes are common in other albino animals, but they are rare in dogs. How much is an albino dog worth? When asked for an estimate, he said, looking around the $5,000 mark. To some people, $8,000 for a purebred puppy might seem pretty average, especially since breeds like English bulldogs and chow chows can cost up to $9,000 to $9,000 from a breeder. Can albino dogs be in the sun? For a true albino dog, with little or no melanin, direct sunlight causes pain in the eyes that cause them to squint. True albino dogs should have minimal and carefully managed exposure to direct sunlight. Albino dogs, or dogs with partial albinism, are very sensitive to direct sunlight. Why are white dogs deaf? Dogs carrying the piebald gene, affects the distribution and amount of white color, are often deaf. Piebaldism is the result of the absence of melanocytes, the cells that create the pigment melanin. Do albinos smell bad? Close relatives of Caucasian albinos described their smell to me as sour, fishy and fetid. A Cuna Indian mother of albino and brown-skinned children said she could wash her albino babies with soap and immediately they smelled like they hadn't been washed for 2 weeks. Are white pit bulls rare? White pit bulls have always existed, as they are identical to any other color pitty. They are just rarer than other colored pit bulls. What are the 4 types of albinism? To date, up to 7 forms of oculocutaneous albinism are now recognized: OCA1, OCA2, OCA3, OCA4, OCA5, OCA6 and OCA7. Some are further divided into subtypes. OCA1, or tyrosinase-related albinism, results from a genetic defect in an enzyme called tyrosinase. What is the most common albino animal? The 2 most common species of albino birds are the common swallow and the American robin. Famous albino birds include snowdrop, a penguin from Bristol Zoo. Total albinism, a complete simultaneous absence of melanin from the eyes, skin and feathers. Can 2 albino parents have a normal child? Not necessarily. There are different types of albinism which affect several different genes. If 2 people with the same type of albinism reproduce, all of their children will have albinism. If 2 people with 2 different types of albinism have children, none of their children will have albinism. Why do white dogs go blind? This specialized layer of cells and the cells that determine hair color come from the same source of stem cells. Without this stem cell, the dog's body will not be able to make this specialized layer of hearing cells and will likely be white in color. Dogs carrying the piebald gene are often deaf. Why are white dogs rare? Albinism is due to a complete absence of pigmentation or melanin in the fur, skin and eyes. It occurs in all animals, but it is a rare genetic disease. Similarly, studies have shown that white pigmented dog breeds are at higher risk of deafness, as well as skin problems, including an increased risk of sunburn. Are albino animals deaf? Tear mutations produce albinism, the condition where melanocytes are present but do not produce melanin. Ellipsis. There is no association between albinism and hearing loss, because melanocytes are present in the striata vascularis of albinos, but melanin is not produced and albinos do not have hereditary deafness.